Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyaye Keshavai Cha Krishna Bhakti Pradaya Devi Sapatiye Namo Namaha. First of all, I offer my humble obeisances to my Sri Harinam Guru, Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Swami, Astatarasat Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Shri Guru Deva Ki Jai. And I offer those same unlimited humble obeisances to my most reverend Diksha and Shiksha Guru, Om Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Swami, Astatarasat Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. The same unlimited obeisances I offer to all my Shiksha Gurus, led by Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anchakapa Taloya Vaischa, Kripa Sindhavaya Vicha, Patipatam, Pavapaya, Vaishnavapaya, Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everybody. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hari Hari Bo, Jai Guru Dev, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Bhagavad-Gita as it is. Krishna. We're going to read chapter 6 today. Verses straight through, and then we'll come back to like 1-2 purports. Every morning we do Srimad Bhagavad-Gita. We read one chapter through the verses, then we go back and we do 1 or 2 purports of that verse that stuck out in our mind that day for that chapter. Today we're doing 6, tomorrow 7, 8, 9, 10, like this, then we go back and start over again. In this way, Bhagavad-Gita means Song of God. You actually become a Song of God. And in the mundane world, there's all kinds of material noises, so we have to, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gita, not be disturbed by the ordinary course of activities in chapter 15. It's very tough out here. So, chapter 6, Sankhya Yoga. The Blessed Lord said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work, and who works as he is obligated, a renounced order of life. And he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire, performs no work.
What is called renunciation is the same as yoga, or linking oneself with the Supreme, for no one can become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification.
For one who is neophyte in the eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means, and for one who has already attained to yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means.
Neophyte is somebody who's just stepping onto the path.
Okay.
And as soon as you step onto the path, all Shastra says you're transcendental right away. You just have to realize this. Like we said, it's like taking medicine. You take the medicine, you don't know how it's working, but it's working. How you doing, hon? You don't know how it's working, but it's working. Where are we at? 4? A person is said to have attained yoga when, having renounced all material desires, he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities. In other words, he's working for Krishna, so he's not getting no karma if he worked for Krishna.
A man must elevate himself by his own mind, not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul, and his enemy as well.
For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends, but for one who has failed to do so, his very mind will be the greatest enemy.
But one thing, never trust the mind, because the mind can be silly and draw you back. But it can be your best friend when it wants to keep coming back to Krishna. So this whole thing is a practicing the presence of God, like Brother Lawrence says, from a 17th century monk. He simply practices the presence of God, which is also a good book on audio, YouTube. Krishna says, always remember me, never forget me. So we're just trying to bring the mind always back to Krishna. And then the intelligence will keep it fixed there. My turn?
Yes.
A person is said to be established in self-realization is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. It says a saintly person finds his strength and meaning in life in the truth itself. And human birth is for self-realization and nothing else. That self-realization leads to pure love of God because you realize the greatness of God. And then you just start tasting the sweetness and you throw out all that knowledge in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And even knowledge that the Atma is separated from the body is knowledge in the mode of goodness. You throw all this stuff out and you just become a dancing fool for Krishna. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebbles, stones, or gold, is the same. There's no difference in this world. It's all the same. It's all temporary, illusionary, and full of misery. There's no happiness in this world. People are trying to say there's happiness in the world. There is only transcendental happiness when you get to that platform. There's no material happiness. It's all distress, actually.
There we are.
9?
On this one. On this one.
We're on number 9.
A person is said to be still further advanced when he regards all. The honest well-wisher, friends and enemies, the envious, the pious, the sinner, and those who are indifferent and impartial with an equal mind.
Why? Because it's only the mind that likes and dislikes things. And we're not the mind. We're souls. Understand? We have transcendental intelligence in mind. This material mind just likes and dislikes. Oh, he's my enemy. I am mine. There's no selfish I am mine in the spirit world. There's only a ripe I. And Mahatma, my Krishna, my Radha. But it's not a selfish I, like in this material world.
A transcendentalist should always try to concentrate his mind on the Supreme Self. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness.
Live alone in a secluded place doesn't mean that you run off to the Himalayas. It means that you associate with other like-minded persons. That's living alone. Separating from the mass of sleeping jiva souls. In Proverbs in the Bible, it says the masses are always wrong. Yes, they're like sheep. Rumi says, be a lifeboat, be a lamp, be a ladder. Help a soul heal. Walk out of your house like a shepherd. Rumi. To practice yoga, once you go to a secluded place, you should lay kushu grass on the ground and then cover it with deerskin and a soft cloth. The seat should be neither too high nor too low, or should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and should practice yoga by controlling the mind and senses, purifying the heart, and fixing the mind on one point. This is Sati Yuga, concentration. In Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, there's no meditation going on, real meditation, no real fire sacrifices, because everybody's so degraded because of the greed and lust and the anger and the millions of births of Jasita, Maida, sleeping and defending, that the only way out of Kali Yuga is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The holy names. Kali Yuga, holy names, holy names, holy names. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. Nasteva, Nasteva, Katiranyata, like this.
One should hold one's body, neck and head erect in a straight line, and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life.
Yes, what's your goal in life, my friend? You ask people what their goals are. It's all material, they say. You know, they have no idea about spiritual life. Seriously, you can ask 100 people. I'm telling you, 99 will say, oh, I want to be a corporate lawyer, or this, that, the other thing. Nobody wants to love God. What is the problem?
Thus, practicing control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist attains to the kingdom of God, or the abode of Krishna, by cessation of material existence.
Yes, he just works for God. That doesn't mean he's not functioning in this
Right.
world. It just means that he's working for Krishna, doing the same thing all these people are doing, but you're just working for Krishna. Your whole consciousness is different. It's all about the consciousness.
Yeah.
And one can only have peace in this world when one has transcendental knowledge. The kingdom of God is everywhere, but the spiritual sky and the planets therefore are called Paramdham, or superior abodes. Everything is spiritual, actually. There is no possibility of one becoming a yogi or Jordan if one eats too much or eats too little, eats too much or does not sleep enough. Middle road, baby, middle road.
He who is tempered in his habits of eating, sleeping, working, and recreation can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system.
When the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence devoid of all material desires, he is said to have attained yoga.
Yes. Cessation of material desires. I am not the body. Tanumani. A lot of this yoga is just a bodily conception of life out here in Kali Yuga, man. You have to actually go to a teacher who knows Bhagavad-Gita, who realizes that the yoga is actually for union with God. Nothing more, nothing less. Union with God. Not to show your crotch off. As a lamp in a windowless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist, whose mind is controlled, remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendental self. Your life becomes one Zen. Because then you're always thinking about Krishna or God, the Radha Krishna, the divine couple, or one of their Ragamika followers. It's called once you develop some prem drishna, the unquenching thirst for the object of one's affection, leading to complete absorption in that object, you know what I mean, which will be Krishna Radha, following in the wake of one of the already transcendent, who are already liberated, already were there, containers of that mood that you have, that you follow, whether it be Mother Yashoda, Mother Nanda Baba, you know, as parental affection, or Srimati Tungavedi, singing and dancing. You know, you get taught up when you go there. Krishna. You have to, whatever mood you have, there's already liberated souls there that you follow in their way, because you can't directly approach the king, man. I can't walk up to the king's palace and try to get in, but if I go with somebody who knows the king, I can get in. This is why you need guru. Everybody hollering nowadays, I be my own guru. Yes, and you've been in this material world for millions and billions of births. Continue to be your own guru, my friend. Yes.
I mean, it's like, even like in this life, like most people can't even find a job unless they know somebody, you know? Like, you got to know somebody who knows the person to get in there. So
Of course.
You know.
Even football, like I always say, there's 32 teams. There's only 32 teams in this country, United States. Only 32 head coaching jobs. So these young people go work for a head coach who is like above the rest, and they tutelage under him for 5-10 years. Then other teams, when they need a head coach, they say, oh, he's been studying for 10 years under this coach. He has to learn something. Something rubs off, like this. So even in the material world, you have to be under some kind of tutelage.
Mm-hmm.
Krishna. Who's next? 20 to 23.
The stage of perfection is called trance, or
Samadhi.
samadhi, when one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This is characterized by one's ability to see self by the pure mind and relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness and enjoys himself through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain.
There's what?
No greater gain.
No greater gain than 24/7 happiness, man. Everybody is trying just to be happy in this world, but they're seeking it in all the wrong things. If they simply put God in the center of their lives, all else will lead to happiness, and you will never be disturbed by anything in this world. Nothing. Not even your whole family gets blown up in a plane crash. You just keep walking in peace and tranquility. I'm not saying you're not a little mourning or whatever, but it's a transcendental thing, man. Transcendental affection you should have for your children and things like this, not material affection. There's no greater gain.
Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of the greatest difficulty.
Yes.
This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact.
Like we've already established, this material world keeps coming. Boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, one thing after another. Equipoise, it's all about mind control. Like we said before, this whole world is Sippy Mana Vilasam, a universe where there's a great dancing of the mind. Understand that everything comes from ignorance. This whole place is from the ignorance of I am mine. I want to be the enjoyer. I want to lord over creation. I want to be God. So we turned away. And God created this world for us. Go ahead, go enjoy. But you're also going to suffer. You know what I'm saying? So all this thing you think you're tasting like nectar is actually poison in the end. Spiritual life kind of like poison in the beginning, but it's nectar in the end. You don't want to get up early. You don't want to do this, that. But once you start doing these things in a routine, the sky's the limit, as they say.
One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with undeviating determination and faith. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of false ego and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind.
Gradually, step by step with full conviction, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone, and should think of nothing else. Krishna. Oh man. Yes, the world is a bunch of disturbances. Krishna. Krishna, save me, Baba. Hold on, more mundane noise coming by. All this rap and all this other crazy music does nothing but kill your consciousness. It leaves bad impressions. Why would you want your children listening to Crack Hoe in My Backpack? Why would you want your children to listen to this stuff? It's insane.
From whatever and wherever the mind wanders, due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self.
The yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest happiness. By virtue of his identity with Brahman, he is liberated, his mind is peaceful, his passions are quieted, and he is freed from sin.
Yes. How can there be any peace without God consciousness? There can be none. As Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada says, I don't admit to any famines, any wars, any of these things. I only admit to a lack of God consciousness. If everybody was vibrating on that level, yes. Steady in itself, being free from all material contamination, the yogi achieves the highest perfectional stage of happiness. In touch with the Supreme Consciousness. Now these next 4 verses are very important. Please listen up carefully.
A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized man sees me everywhere.
Sees me everywhere.
For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me.
In the beginning there was only God. And then God said, Bahusham, then we become many. So we're all little parts and parcels. Howdy, howdy. We're all little parts and parcels of God. We have like 78% of the same qualities as God, but in minute quantities. And all we have to do is start developing these qualities. It is said in Shastra, you have to become like God to worship God, actually. Not God, but like God, in that you have all these 78% of qualities of God. Like God, not God. The yogi who knows that I and the super soul within all creatures are one worships me and remains always in me in all circumstances. We'll be talking about the super soul in our next podcast. The second confidential truth of the Bhagavad Gita, Paramatma is in everybody's heart. Super soul, Holy Spirit, as you like to call it, is situated in everybody's heart, in the tree, in the dog, in the Brahmin, in everybody.
Yeah. First smile.
I don't want to get involved in these people over here. Go ahead.
He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings, both in their happiness and distress. O Arjuna.
True equality in all beings, that we're all made up of the same substance, same spiritual substance. We are all made up of the same spiritual substance. But we all have individuality in our lives, as Srimad Bhagavad-Gita says in chapter 5, verse 16, the last line of the purport. It says, let's say, identity with individuality in spiritual practice is real knowledge to keep your individuality. You don't want to dissolve, and the demigods are not on the same level as Krishna. Like some of these kirtan people, and I keep saying, if you listen to these people, man, your mind is going to be washed with their association, and you're just going to dissolve. You need not associate with these people. They may sing good, but they lost.
Arjuna said, "Oh Madhusudan,
Krishna.
Madhusudan, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady."
Now let's see what Krishna says about this. For the mind, this is still Arjuna, for the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it is, it seems to me, more difficult than controlling the wind.
The Blessed Lord said.
Who said?
The Blessed Lord, Krishna.
Krishna.
Almighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by constant practice and by detachment.
Detachment.
For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by right means is assured of success. That is my opinion.
Must come to the intelligence level. Stop playing on the mind playground. It's all just reactions and actions. Intelligence level, so much more. Arjuna said, what is the destination of a man of faith who does not persevere, who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism?
Almighty armed Krishna, does not such a man, being deviated from the path of transcendence, perish like a riven cloud, with no position in any sphere?
This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for yourself, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt.
This is my doubt, O Krishna. Yeah. See, you need to go to somebody. And Guru is just as good as Krishna. Same as Krishna. Same and different. Simultaneously one and different. Guru. The Blessed Lord said, son of Prita, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction, either in this world or in a spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil.
The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people, or into a family of rich
Aristocrats. What a tough word. Or
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Or he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Verily, such a birth is rare in this world.
What a birth that would be, to be born into a family of transcendentalists, just hearing Srimad Bhagavatam,
Right.
Bhagavad-Gita from birth, you know, in your cradle. It'd be like Krishna, cradle to grave, what do they call that, cradle to grave or something like that?
Yeah.
It'd be all Krishna, man, family of transcendentalists. So you don't even need, when you get to a certain point, you don't even care if you go back to Krishna or not, because you're always with Krishna. You can be born in hell, born into a family of transcendentalists, you know, because you're always in that transcendental state of peace and tranquility, where the mind and intelligence and soul level are all thinking of Krishna all the time. How can it be other than blissful, you know? Well, taking such a birth, he again revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success of Son of Kuru.
By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist striving for yoga stands always above the ritualist principles of the scriptures.
Yes. Religion is nothing but dogma.
Yeah.
Dogma. Actually, in Sri Prema-Vivarta, Jagadananda Pandit, who was a quarrelsome friend of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they had a wonderful, loving relationship. It was beautiful. And he says in his book, all activities actually are done in ignorance in this world, man. We just need to think of Krishna. Always remember, never forget me. It's Kali Yuga. We're like peasants and crazy people, you know what I mean? Our minds are distorted. So we all just got to think of Krishna. Everything we do is distorted in this world.
Absolutely.
Whose turn is it?
My turn. But when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately, after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme God.
Attains the supreme God. The yogi is greater than the ascetic, greater than the empiricists, and greater than the fruit of worker. Therefore, adjourn in all circumstances. Be a yogi. Be a real yogi. Understand what yoga means, to unite with God, not with your own body or bodies of others.
And of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshiping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately
It's good.
united with me in yoga and is the highest of all.
And of all yogis, he was always abides in me with great faith, worshiping me in transcendental loving service. Is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all. So again, Krishna says the greatest yogi, is one who's always meditating on him, performing transcendental loving service. Compassion, transcendental compassion to all the jiva souls. Material, a lot of these, like I said in the last one, a lot of people like to do material compassion, giving out food and taking them on shopping sprees and donating $10 billion to the Earth Fund. All these things are nice, but what about the root? How about donating $1 million and buying a bhakti house and teaching people and children from the door self-realization? Then you wouldn't need to spend $10 billion to clean up an ocean, because the ocean would never be dirty.
Because
Understand?
we would all realize.
But nobody understands the transcendental compassion of actually teaching people self-realization. Then your rivers wouldn't be dirty. Your kids wouldn't be orphans, and football players who make billions of dollars wouldn't have to take them out on shopping sprees. They actually should be building the self-realization houses in every single neighborhood, because every neighborhood needs a spiritual hub, or else it's just a dead, greedy neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right now, there's no spiritual hub over here in Venice Beach, so we should have a spiritual hub, you know, like this.
We are the spiritual hub.
Yeah, we're trying, you know, we're on a path, we're trying, and we're trying to help other people and trying to wake up the other souls so they can see this, you know. Everything else is a band-aid on the problem of self-realization. Everyone needs to be self-realized, and like I said, you wouldn't have all this criminal activity and things like this. Let's read number 31. The yogi who knows that I and the super soul within all creatures are one, worships me and remains in me in all circumstances. A yogi who is practicing meditation on the super soul sees within himself the planetary portion of Krishna as Vishnu with 4 hands holding a conch shell, wheel, club, and lotus flower. In this day and age, we meditate on Krishna in the heart, the 2-hand form, and actually Guru takes the place, so we actually meditate on Guru. You know, because there's no super soul in the spirit world. You know what I mean? The super soul is here, helping everybody and guiding everybody. It's that voice you hear. Do this, don't do that. You know what I mean? And once you get Guru, Guru takes the place of the super soul, like this. The super soul always exists, don't get me wrong. Should know that Vishnu is not different from Krishna. He's an expansion. In this form of super soul is situated in everyone's heart. In everyone's heart, like I said. Or like Shastra says, I don't say anything. You know, he's in the tree and this and that. This is why, you know, like I always say, my Catholic brethren, man, they eat that meat, man, and they think there ain't no soul in that dog they're eating, you know, because they don't know what they're eating. That meat could be dogs, it could be horses, it could be whatever. and they just don't understand, man, that this is this violence and this killing their consciousness, like that crazy ass rap music. You know what I mean? Not all rap music, but most of it.
Most of it, yeah, it's really bad.
Furthermore, there is no difference between the innumerable super souls present in the innumerable hearts of living entities. Nor is there a difference between a Krishna conscious person always engaged in transcendental loving service of Krishna and a perfect yogi engaged in meditation on the super soul. Remember the 3 aspects of God? Brahma Jyoti, where there's just eternity, no knowledge and no bliss. And then there's Paramatma Super Soul realization, where the yogis want to go. This is his second tier of realization of Krishna. And there's eternity and knowledge in this. And then you go to the topmost realization, where you're singing and dancing with Krishna on the mountain and everyone else. And there you find eternality, knowledge, and bliss. And bliss with Krishna. The yogi in Krishna consciousness, even though he may be engaged in various activities while in material existence, remains always situated in Krishna, like we said earlier. We do the same things everybody else is doing, basically. You know, some of us even have dogs and we pick up the stool, you know? And we cook, but we cook for Krishna. We don't cook for ourselves, man. We cook for God, call us friends, guru, and then we are like secondary enjoyers. Then we take. It takes all the pressure off, actually, you know, because God's in control. I'm not in control.
Right.
You know, how do I do this every day? How you get up in the morning and do everything? Because Krishna gives you the power to do this thing, you know, all day, every day. You know what I'm saying? All day, every day. Krishna Baba, all day long. This is confirmed, and eventually we'll be like that. But now we have periods where we're Krishna. What did Srila Prabhupada say? We're always in Maya. Sometimes we're in Krishna consciousness. You know, like this. It was funny. This is confirmed in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Sri Rupa Goswami. A devotee of the Lord, always acting in Krishna consciousness, is automatically liberated. In Narada Pancharatra, this is confirmed in this way. By concentrating one's attention on the transcendental form of Krishna, who is all-pervading and beyond time and space, one becomes absorbed in thinking of Krishna and then attains the happy state of transcendental association with him. How simple is that? By concentrating one's attention on the transcendental form of Krishna, because in Kali Yuga, it's not the function of the mind to think of nothing. Who's ever telling you to meditate on nothing is cheating you. The mind cannot think of nothing. So why not the beautiful form of the Lord? Krishna. This very understanding that Krishna is present as Paramatma in everyone's heart. Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of trance and yoga practice. This very understanding that Krishna is present as Paramatma in everyone's heart makes the yogi faultless. Every religion has a different name. Paramatma, Catholic, Super Soul, like this. I mean, Holy Spirit. Same. So I don't understand what these other practices are not understanding when Jesus said, "Thou shalt not kill." If I'm killing, whatever it is, I'm killing it. Stabbing it, cutting its throat, put it in an air bullet through its head, I'm killing it. And it has the super soul in everything, even in the Bible, in everything. So you're killing God, basically, on a minute level of intelligence. If you get down to the bottom of it, there is only God. But you have to understand how there is only God, how he separates himself, has diverse energies. You can't just run around saying it's all God. Because Krishna is aloof up there in the spirit world, singing and dancing, you know what I'm saying? And then he has all his expansions and his diverse energies and everything. The demigods working for him, like this. No one is equal to or above Krishna, God. Vishnu is one, Krishna is one, and yet he is certainly all-pervading, Vasudev Sarvahiti. By his inconceivable potency, in spite of his one form, he is present everywhere. As the sun, he appears in many places at once. Krishna, Hare Hare Bo, Jai Shri Ram. So Bhagavad-Gita as it is, Krishna. Begin to open your mind and expand your intelligence. Come off of that mind emotional crazy level where you're just a reactor, man, like boom, pushing button for nuclear bomb. And come to that intelligence level where you're just sitting back and you logically think things through. You know? Like this. And if you're always thinking of Krishna, there really isn't much more to think about. Only Krishna. What's that fourth confidential truth of the Bhagavad Gita?
Always remember and never forget Krishna.
Yes, these are your two directives. Everything else is just a bonus. Krishna, Hare Hare Bo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everything begins and ends with the holy names, and the holy names are none different than Krishna himself. Krishna is absolute. Doesn't matter what condition the body is in. Doesn't matter, because you're not the body. What matters is your consciousness, your bhajan. Unto Krishna, bhajan means your practice. Enthusiastic endeavor with patience. Thank you for coming and having Bhagavad-Gita class, as it is, by Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudeva ki jai. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bo, Krishna.
Hare Krishna.